Every single day, I receive comments, DMs, and emails from people who don't really know much about this industry. Sometimes they're just curious and have some misguided questions and want some insight, and other times they're completely clueless about the industry and accuse me of being a scammer. So in today's video, we're gonna break down a ton of the comments that I've received and break down some of the biggest misconceptions about payment processing, my business, and how this all works. If this business does interest you, we do have a program where we help people get started in this industry and build up residual income, which is basically passive income. You can get paid on every single transaction in a business if you sell a card reader to them. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off super hot here, we have like 4 or 5 different comments of people just claiming this whole thing is a scam, that payment processing is a scam, Sevi's a scam, and that it's all just a bunch of BS. So we're gonna talk about the industry in general in just a second and why it's not all just a scam. But before we do that, let's go ahead and establish first that I'm not a scammer. I don't really know a good way of doing that other than just calling the people in my program and asking them. So let's do that. So starting with John Shea, let's give him a call and see what he has to say. Yo, real quick, am I a scammer?
Most definitely not a scammer.
Word. All right, thank you. Peace.
Bye.
Now we're gonna give Josh Talisman a try. He's been closing some huge deals lately. Yo, real quick, am I a scammer?
No, I mean, definitely not a scammer. I mean, there's definitely scammers out there, but this is a program that allows you to become successful unlike anything else I've ever seen. Definitely not a scammer.
Word. All right, thank you. Now we're gonna call Brandon. He's gotten a lot of success with our program as well. Let's see what he has to say.
What up?
Yo, real quick, I have like 2 seconds. Am I a scammer?
Are you a scammer?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Peace.
Later.
So either I'm not a scammer at all, or I'm just such a good scammer that the people in my program don't even know I'm continuing to scam them as they make tons and tons and tons of money through our program. That aside though, on a more serious note regarding just the payments industry in general, this is a $40 trillion industry we are talking about here. And to say that this entire industry is just a scam is actually just kind of absurd. I really don't think entities like the FTC would allow something like that to go on at such a massive scale like it has. For instance, the processor Fiserv, there's a literal Fiserv stadium. They are so big. They're so big that they process 25,000 transactions a second. So if this whole $40 trillion industry is a scam, then truly hats off to the people that have made that happen, because that's quite the feat. So moving on, this next one's a really good one. I actually get this one all the time. This one says, sure, because businesses go with you instead of a bank. Okay, bud. So there's a lot that we could talk about here in breaking this down, but the simple thing is this comment falsely assumes that businesses either sign up with me or they sign up with a bank, and that's actually not how this industry is structured. Instead, business owners sign up with banks through me. So let's break down exactly how that looks and how that plays out here. So in this industry, we have a couple things we need to know. The first one is issuing banks. And the second one here is acquiring banks. Issuing banks here you can think of as almost like consumer banks. So what they do is they issue credit cards. And these are just like your regular everyday banks that you think of when you hear the word banks. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, blah, 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 blah. And then acquiring banks, on the other hand, what they do is they issue merchant accounts. So when a customer goes into a business and purchases something with their card, processor checks with the issuing bank to make sure that there are actual funds or credit limit there for the purchase. And if so, it approves the purchase and sends it to the acquiring bank. And this network right here is known as the processor. Now, most acquiring banks actually do their own processing using their own network to route transactions, but without getting too into the weeds here, what our job is in payment processing is we're effectively getting paid by banks to steal other banks' customers. We work with acquiring banks and we go pitch processing savings to a business owner, we sign them up, and then that acquiring bank / processor shares the profits with us. So that's how we make our residual on a monthly basis. So not a terrible question here, but ultimately we're actually partnered with banks, and that's how this whole thing works. All right, now moving on, this is one of the most common ones that I get. This one says, with all due respect, at this point, what business does not have a debit card payment method available to customers? And the answer is very few businesses don't have it already. But this question, what it's doing is assuming that we can only sell card readers and POS systems to businesses that don't have it already, and that's not the case. So the whole point in the sale of payment processing is to save the business owner money. So the way that we go about that is we approach the business owner, we start talking talking to them about their payment processing, and we ask them how much they're paying in fees. And ideally, we would like to see a statement where we can see all of that laid out. Then what we do is build a proposal. And on that proposal, we show them how much money they would save by switching to us, because we have the power as the ISO to set whatever processing rate we want to. So we basically look at that statement and say, okay, I know in order to get this deal, I need to save them this much. I know that I want to make this much per month on this deal. So then we just kind of do some math, settle in the middle, and give them a proposal like that. And with us, you'll pretty much never find anyone that you can't save money for. Sometimes you'll find statements where you're able to save people $10,000 a month. So you can see how that sale works and how it actually works to your advantage if they already have processing. Now, onto this next one. This is one I get all the time from industry veterans who make comments on my posts and whatnot. This one says, it's much harder than it's led to be. LOL. I've been doing it for nearly 15 years. People don't last. I actually full-heartedly agree with this. The payments industry is a very tough industry to get into. When I started, I had very little training, very little support. I was pretty much out on my own. I approached 600 businesses and got shot down every single time. It took me a very long time to figure out what I was doing and how to close a deal. And then when you close the deal, finally, there's a whole other host of things you have to learn to make sure that you're taking care of your accounts, that everything's working properly for them. So with the nightmare that I went through, that's actually why we launched Payments University. The thought process behind it is it's everything I wish I knew when I got started, and also everything I needed to know to build my book to where it is now. So unlike when I got started in payment processing, what we do with Payments University is we offer tons and tons of support. You get a full training online with pretty much everything you need to know, and then you have tons and tons of sales support by having us in your back pocket whenever you need us. You have a VIP chat directly with me, my COO Pete, my VP of Sales Dean, Erica, our manager, and Veronica, our administrator. So anything you ever need, you can message us in there live and we'll answer it really quickly. In fact, through that chat, you can even call us up and we'll get on the phone to close the deal for you. We do that all of the time. So yes, this industry is a very tough industry to get started in, but that's exactly why places like us exist. Now, this next one here, it's not necessarily a misconception. I think it's just stupid. This one says, so $100,000 approximately in sales before you make $1,000. Nah. So this guy's commenting on a video where I basically talk about how you can make 1% of each transaction in a business. So this guy's like, oh, wow, they have to be doing 100,000 a month for you to make $1,000. Like, that's stupid. But this guy is saying it in such a way like that it involves work on his end for them to get to $100,000 of transactions, when really all you have to do is like give them the device and let them use it. And then they run $100,000 and you make $1,000. There are plenty of businesses out there that are doing way more than $100,000 a month. In fact, you can see on the screen here, in one day, Josh closed 3 businesses that between all of them, they're doing about $2 million a month in processing volume. And let's keep in mind that you're not having to do any work to get them to process $100,000. You're basically just giving them a device and it's making you money every month. Now, the typical average size account is going to make you like probably about $300 a month. But still, I mean, have 4 conversations, make 4 sales, and you're going to be making $1,200 a month for work that you did once. And if you want to extrapolate this out with a $300 average residual per account, then that means you're only about 28 sales away from making $100,000 a year passively. So that's just 28 people you got to find and save money for to get a sale, and then you're making $100,000 a year. All right, now on to this next one. This is a very common one as well. I'm not reading all that, but basically this guy is saying it's just a race to the bottom. Somebody's just going to undercut the rate that you gave them and you're going to lose the sale. So this one's a really funny one to me because I've only ever lost 2 accounts to competition. And one of those 2 accounts was because SkyTab swooped them up, where SkyTab is paying business owners $5,000 to switch. So it's a tough one to compete with. At the time, I didn't have access to selling SkyTab, but now at our ISO Wave Payments, we actually have access to it. And it is a very easy sale to make because they're literally paying cash. Now, with that said, in terms of the whole conversation of, oh, well, somebody else is just going to come in and undercut you, it's not really how it works. And when I say that, if you're selling payment processing, if you're just selling on rate, you're missing like 90% of the sale. And the reason for that is business owners don't just care about how much money they're saving, but their POS system does a lot more for them than just accept credit and debit card payments. For instance, with a restaurant, they can run their online orders through it. They can run payroll, employee clock in and clock out. They can do a million different things on it. And it's not just a conversation about money. In fact, fact, just having a conversation about money with business owners almost never leads to making sales. That's the problem I ran into when I just got started. So you have to find all the other ways to provide value to the business owners and show them that this is going to make their business better. Now, outside of that side of things, the other thing we have to discuss here is the cash discount program. So the cash discount program is a way that you can actually eliminate a business owner's processing fees, and you can make more money doing it. So how does this work? You might walk in somewhere and find that they're paying 2.3% on their processing. Obviously, you have the old school approach, which is just drop them down to 2.2%, save them a couple bucks, make a couple bucks, which in this case, yeah, this is kind of a race to zero. Or you can utilize cash discount, aka dual pricing, which is where the industry is moving towards. And so what you would do in that case is say, okay, Mr. Business Owner, you're paying 2.3%. That's costing you about $2,300 a month, assuming they're processing 100 grand a month. Instead of you paying all those processing fees, what you should do instead is just pass them on to the customer if they pay with card. That way your customer covers the cost of processing. It doesn't come out of your pocket, and it makes it no different if they were to have paid with cash anyways. The customers still get all their airline miles, reward points, benefits, cashback, everything from using their credit card, but you as the business owner will no longer be the one paying it. And we can also set you up on Tuzo Merchant Rewards, where you earn points for every dollar that you process in here, and you can use that to buy things like Apple computers and blah, 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 blah. If we sell them on this, we're not going to write them in at a 2.3% rate. We're going to write them in at a 4% rate, and that 4% is what they're going to pass on to the customer. So effectively, the merchant is no longer paying fees. We're making a lot more money, and most customers don't even notice or care anyways. So with that said, it's not always just lowering the rate. We can actually just eliminate their rate. All right, so now we're getting into some of my favorite ones here. So this one says he's making money off of the freaking people that he scams to buy these machines, and then they have to sit on the stock until somebody puts them in their stores. So this one is just flat out wrong. That is not how our program works. With our program, yes, there is an investment to work with us. That gets you all the time, effort, energy, resources, everything you're gonna need to be successful. And then because you've made an investment in our training, we can offer you much better residual split. This is not like a, hey, come buy a bunch of equipment and hope you sell it. It's more like, hey, invest in yourself, invest in training, invest in this venture to learn the skills that you're going to need to build up residual income. But with that said, specifically around the equipment, that's not how this works at all. You go out there with no equipment. You're not bringing it with you. You're just going out there and you're talking to business owners and pitching them. And as soon as you sign them up, that equipment gets sent out from the processor. You can have that equipment go straight to you, or you can have it go straight to the business owner. Now, the other funny thing about this too, which is just why this comment is so misguided, is that the POS systems and card readers are never gonna be a cost for you. In fact, they should be a profit item for you. And there are two ways you can do this. When you sign a merchant up, you can say, hey, you have to pay the retail cost of the equipment, and you can bake in a couple bucks of profit right there. Or you can sign them up on a lease where they pay X amount of dollars for like 48 months, and we get basically all of those months combined into one upfront. With that, we make way more profit because you can charge a lot more, and if they pay it monthly, it's not so detrimental to them. So no, we are not sending these out to you and saying, hey, good luck, go sell them. Actually, that happens on a per deal basis. It's effectively like drop shipped almost. On to this one. It's my absolute all-time favorite one here. This one has a special place in my heart. This one says, the funny thing is he's getting scammed by somebody in a position higher than him. He's literally pushing a pyramid scheme here. So there's a lot to unpack with this one. The first and most important thing is that commission only sales is not a pyramid scheme. What a pyramid scheme is you pay to join. And then the only way of actually making money once you're in the scheme is by recruiting others to join. So if he actually knew the definition of what a pyramid scheme was, he would be saying that, hey, I'm making people pay to join my program, and then the only way they're making money is by recruiting other people to join. That's actually not what we're doing at all. People join and then they make money selling payment processing. You can see a couple of the examples here. Where this misconception comes from is because he sees the way the industry is structured, and it's just like insurance sales with insurance brokerages. We have the processor at the top, and the processor works with multiple ISOs. And then each of those ISOs has multiple different agents, ISAs, independent sales agents, so on and so forth. And he's seeing this and saying, oh, triangle must be a pyramid scheme. That's just not how it works. Thinking that that is a scam has absurd implications, because that would be like saying buying something from Target is a scam because they bought it for less from the manufacturer. And with that in mind, we can actually draw that whole thing out here. So manufacturers, for instance, They don't work with individuals. They work with large retail businesses. For example, they have things like minimum order quantities. So like if you're an individual wanting a t-shirt, you wouldn't go to a manufacturer for them because they'll be like, hey, you need to order 1,000 minimum. However, large retail places such as Target go to places like manufacturers to order a bunch of t-shirts in bulk. And the reason that they're buying it in bulk is because they can get a lower price. They can buy it at wholesale. And then what places like Target does is they turn around and sell it at retail to customers, and a lot of customers at that. And Target's not the only one. In fact, there are multiple, such as Walmart, and they all do the same thing. And this is also a triangle. Now, how does this apply to payments? Basically, the way of looking at it is think of the processor as the manufacturer, right? And the ISOs are basically buying processing at wholesale and turning around, giving it to individuals like you that want to become an agent at retail. We are buying it in bulk because our ISOs are doing whatever, 50, 100, 200 deals a month, and we can get a better deal with the processor than you would ever get going there and buying one t-shirt as an individual, if that makes sense. So ultimately, no, this is not a pyramid scheme. You don't get recruited to recruit more people. In fact, there's not like a recruitment thing to this at all. If you want to join, then you sell payment processing and you make money. Getting towards the end here now, but this one is great. It says another one of those schemes that are so lucrative, you get paid to pay your competition. So this one just kind of completely misunderstands what our business model is. I've mentioned it a couple times in this video, but with us, we are both a training program and we are an ISO. The training program is named Payments University and the ISO is named Wave Payments. With us, you go through our training and then you go out and put on deals selling payment processing through Wave Payments because we're the ISO. We have multiple acquiring bank relationships already in place. And that's how we make money. It's pretty simple. They're actually two different LLCs, but ultimately they do work in tandem. Now, on to our last couple here. This one says, yeah, right, in your dreams. Yeah, you're right. I lived the life of my dreams. It's pretty awesome. I worked my ass off, built up like 25, 30 grand in monthly residual, and I make that on autopilot every single month. And lastly, this one here says you're going to have to prove it. And I actually already have. If you want to check out the link in the description, it'll take you to a video which actually shows me literally pulling up my bank account and showing the deposits I've received for my residual. And if you're interested in hopping on a call with us and discussing what it looks like to join our program and build up residual income, you can do that at that same link as well. Anyways, thank you for watching. Comment anything else you want me to address, and we'll include that in the next one.